Did you know the English novelist and short story writer Graham Greene was a spy? He worked for Britain's Foreign Intelligence Service, the MI6. He even had to work closely with the most notorious double agent of the 20th century, Kim Philby. War and spies go hand in hand. The most powerful empires employed the best of spies. We have heard about Mata Hari, the Dutch exotic dancer who spied for the Germans during the First World War. World War II also had its fair share of espionage. Real-life secret agents like Forrest Yo Thomas and William Stephenson inspired Ian Fleming to create his legendary Agent 007, Bond, James Bond. Similarly, Graham Greene made a huge fan following, inviting readers to take a closer look at the lives of such people who led a life on the edge. Graham Greene's novels are set all over the world, from Cuba to Haiti to Vietnam to Africa, and he had been to all those places. He was a jet-setting journalist and a novelist. Jet-setting? The term jet-setting is used to describe people who are rich and successful and who have a luxurious lifestyle. They move around the world in planes, jet or planes, from one stylish location to another and lead adventurous lives. Graham Greene was a jet-setting journalist, which made him an ideal candidate to be roped in by the MI6. Graham Greene's novels such as The Confidential Agent, The Quiet American, Our Man in Havana, and The Human Factor make interesting reads on espionage and counter-espionage and the politics of the era. Greene was a master at portraying the consciousness and the anxieties of his protagonists. So, what happens in the short story, A Shocking Accident? This story was published in 1967 in the collection of short stories titled May We Borrow Your Husband? A Shocking Accident shows us how the life of a 9-year-old boy named Jerome is affected by the news of the death of his father. What is so shocking about that? Unfortunately, his father died when a fat pig fell from the balcony of a dilapidated building on his head while he was walking along a street in Naples, Italy. Who is the narrator of the story? We have an anonymous narrator who follows Jerome through the years, from his childhood to the moment when he is preparing to get married. We see how Jerome comes to terms with the death of his father. As a young boy, he was fascinated with his father, whom he believed to be a spy. What is the theme of the story? The main themes of the story, A Shocking Accident, are the absurdity or triviality of death, which is illustrated by Jerome's father's death, and also the coming of age of Jerome. He is transforming from a child to a man, maturing as an adult. Triviality. What is that? Triviality or trivial means ordinary or insignificant, trifling. This comes from the Latin term trivialis, meaning commonplace. How did this meaning come about? The word trivia literally means tree, meaning tree, and via means road. So trivium is a place where three roads meet. Hence, it referred to an open place or a public place or a common place. Hence, trivial means insignificant or obvious. Jerome's father's death is absurd, which cannot be explained rationally, and also trivial. Nobody expects to die with a pig falling on one's head. Hence, Jerome is shocked at this revelation. Jerome worshipped his father, literally worshipped his father. He had a wild imagination and thought that his father was a spy or some mysterious adventurer who traveled to places like Nice, Beirut, Mallorca, and even the Canaries. Jerome did not know that his father was an author. Jerome used to get postcards containing photos of his father in various exotic locations. So he thought that maybe his father was a spy or something, living a very luxurious lifestyle. In fact, he was an author. Children often fight amongst each other, claiming, "My daddy is the strongest, is the best." They often imagine their fathers to be having superhuman strength or as someone who is adventurous. Reality takes time to sink in, and they eventually understand that their parents are ordinary human beings and in most cases lead mundane and boring lives. When the housemaster informs Jerome about his father's death, he is unable to comprehend the fact that his father, whom he imagines to be a brave spy, was in fact killed by a pig. He could comprehend his father's death if he was maybe shot through the heart by enemy soldiers. But a pig? Oh no, it's a disaster. It was shocking for Jerome on so many counts. The glorified version of his father burst into nothing, and the fact that a fat pig caused his death by falling on his head was even more shocking. The little boy could not have imagined that this shock was going to last for a long time. Growing each time, he had to reveal how his father died to every person who inquired. A tragic event in his life becomes an amusing story for the listeners. After his father's death, Jerome begins to realize the portrait of the father in his home was that of a mediocre writer who wrote books like Sunshine and Shade and Ramblers in the Bellerics, and that he was not a secret agent. A shocking accident portrays the absurd nature of life. Life is absurd. Absurd means illogical and unreasonable or meaningless. The Second World War and the years after exposed the absurd nature of life. The dropping of atom bomb and the large-scale destruction that man saw. Man had come face to face with death. So we were beginning to realize that there is no particular reason for our existence. A lot of things that are happening around us had no meaning. Life is basically meaningless and absurd. This was a reality that people began to understand. Look at the year 2020. This has been an absurd year. An entire year went by without us seeing each other, and we still do not know for sure if we are safe. We are unable to explain a lot of things rationally. Similarly, Jerome's father died in an absurd manner. We cannot even imagine that someone could die by getting hit by a pig. It is completely absurd. The title is hence ironic. This is not a shocking death. A man walking down along a street gets hit by a falling pig and dies. What is so shocking about that? The extreme commonplace nature, the trivial nature of the man's death makes it absurd and shocking. Another aspect you must be aware of is the use of black humor in the story. What happened to the pig? Asks Jerome to the housemaster when he told him about his father's demise. Will any child do that? This is an example for black humor. Black humor is humor created from circumstances that are not usually seen as funny and are of a grim nature. Death is not normally funny. Greene makes the death of a man a case for humor by making a falling pig the cause of death. People find the death by a fat pig falling on one's head from the balcony of a dilapidated building as funny because it is not expected. It is difficult to believe this bizarre way to die. What are the odds of that happening? A pig falling on one's head. You can expect a coconut falling on one's head, but a pig, that is why this is something strange, and it amuses people. When a father dies in such a manner, we do not expect the son to be concerned about the fate of the pig. But Jerome is a curious boy, and he needs clarity and closure. Some people are like that. They will be restless until they know the complete story. Graham Greene teases out dark humor through the innocent curiosity of a 9-year-old boy amidst a serious situation. The triviality of this accident shocks him and haunts him for the rest of his life, as he imagines that people will find the death of his father as amusing and might prompt them to laugh at this revelation. After getting hurt on seeing people's reaction to the event of his father's death, he thinks of different ways to narrate the incident so as to lessen the amusement people might feel about the pig affair. Instead of dealing with the incident in a matter-of-fact way, he tries to evade the reality and the embarrassment he felt. His aunt, who had no sense of humor, adds to his misery as she keeps narrating this embarrassing story repeatedly to every other person who asked about Jerome's father. She keeps repeating it was a shocking accident and goes on to narrate how Jerome's father was walking along the street when the listener would be like, "What? A pig fell on the head? How? What? That is indeed shocking." Shocking. The irony of this phrase, a shocking accident, grows on the listener with the final revelation of the falling pig. Jerome becomes highly insecure seeing this reaction for all these years. Several years go by and the time comes when he has to inform this story to his fiancée. He's about to get married. So his fiancée should know what has happened to his father. But he has not told her about his father. He is worried that she might find the pig's role in the accidental death of his father amusing and might burst out laughing. Even the slightest variation in expression would hurt him. Hence, he keeps postponing the revelation of the manner of his father's demise. He avoids taking her to see his aunt until a week before the wedding. Jerome knew his aunt would definitely tell the story to Sally. The day finally came and the aunt told the story to her. But to Jerome's surprise, Sally appeased his fear forever. When Sally listened genuinely to the aunt narrating the story of his father's death, he could see that he has finally found someone who understood him, who thought like him. This story is a coming-of-age story as well. How? Jerome matures as an adult towards the end of the story, having come to terms with this shocking accident. Sally loved babies and was fond of dolls, which moved their eyes and made water. Made water? Urinated. Jerome could see in Sally's eyes babies that rolled their eyes and made water. Wanting to know what's on her mind, Jerome says, "Penny for your thoughts, my darling." Means, tell me what you think. Sally asks the same question the 9-year-old boy had asked years back when he was informed of his father's death. Sally asks, "What happened to the pig?"